They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Well, it was fun while it lasted. Got to be gold for a whole 8 days. But hey, we did it. Truthfully, afterwards, I tried to climb a little bit, but I gained some, lost some, panicked, and just stopped because I could very quickly see myself going into a nosedive and ending the season in silver, not gold, and we don't want that. We have to prove that we made it, at least. I need that damn badge. But since we did make it, I figure it's best that we reward ourselves for our struggles.
You have a fucking problem.
No, I don't. Shut up.
Whatever, waste your money. If you need me, I'll be in the box.
Oh, look who's finally kennel trained.
Better than watching you talk to yourself.
Hurtful. Well, look at that. I really wish I had my mic on for that, but we didn't. Moving on. We're gonna go ahead and buy that. Why? Because I had a lot of fun playing her towards the end of the season, and I intend to keep playing her. With my luck, she'll suck next season. Future me problem. But now, since we have an heirloom, the hallmark of any truly good player, I think it's time I shared my top 10 pro tips for climbing in Apex.
Just stop. Take pro out of that fucking title, please.
Fine, how about top 10 surefire ways to improve your Apex climbing
No. I'm not sure anything you did this season was on purpose.
10 ways to improve?
But you still suck.
Fine. 10 dumb lessons I had to learn from my first season of Apex. Happy?
Yes, I am.
Alright, dumb lesson number 10. Ammo management. Now, yeah, I know you need bullets in this game. It's kind of the whole point. You need to be able to shoot to actually down people and, win, but it is something I have struggled with greatly this entire season, and luckily, I think I figured out why. So there is a plethora of ammo on the ground, in death boxes, or in a crafter that you can easily have access to. Now, the problem with one of those is you actually need to consistently win fights in order to loot the boxes and get the ammo back. So one of my biggest problems was initiating fights, but then we end up getting stomped, so we run away. Kind of think of it like an investment. The amount of bullets you put into it to win it, you should get at least that many bullets back, if not more. But if you waste 2.5 clips on both of your weapons and not win the fight, you've not only wasted your healing supplies, you're also significantly less full on bullets, which means you're back to looking on the ground or in pills, hoping that there's enough to satiate whatever you wasted. The way I counteracted this towards the end of the season was I actually started picking up way more ammo than I thought I needed, and significantly cut back on the amount of batteries and medkits I had. At one point I was carrying like 14 shield batteries in one game, and I was like, what the fuck do I need this for? I only got 2 stacks of light ammo. Obviously, with time and improvements on aim and confidence overall and being able to win fights that we initiate, this problem kind of goes away, but for now, it is a very dumb lesson I had to learn. Number 9. Stay with your team, except on drop. Now, I know that seems like a contradiction, but hear me out. When I first started, I was entirely guilty of this, but when the jump master gets out of the drop ship and picks the location that you'll be landing in, I would always stay right on his ass as we landed. And in the beginning, I always wondered why I got some very, colorful messages and voice chats on me doing that. I thought the point was to stay together because it's a team-based battleground, made sense to me. But as I got deeper into playing the game and playing it more consistently, nothing pisses me off more than when someone sticks to me as we're landing and is looting the same flipping building that I am. That's how you wind up with one person on your team with no guns, and you get completely marked by the team that was smart enough to split up and loot the whole area rather than one set of pills. I put this in here at the last second mainly because this just happened in a pub game I was playing, but for the love of God, when you're about to land, please break off and loot a different building, a different set of pills. Just make sure everyone has an area that they can get a decent amount of loot if you're dropping hot. Truthfully, I think it's why 90% of hot drop teams die, because I think it winds up that at least one person on the team doesn't have a gun at all, and you're kinda screwed if someone goes down. So yeah, that was a dumb lesson. Thankfully, I learned that one kinda quickly. I still catch myself forgetting, but that's besides the point, working on it. And as for the other point in this, yes, please stick with your team. We've all had that one Octane on our team who just runs about 400 feet ahead of you, tries to 1v3 and gets absolutely murked, and then is screaming at you in voice chat for some godforsaken reason. Don't be that guy. Dumb lesson number 8. Not sure if this one's dumb or more of a point of pride. Anyway, when it comes to competitive, run if you need to. I don't know why, but I feel like that's not a very well-respected tip, but let me explain this. If you lose 2 of your teammates, or even if one of your teammates is committed to a fight that they clearly can't win, it is okay to just run away. Look, the teammates that go down or that die are not going to be happy about it. They're going to start rapidly pinging because they picked a fight that was not the smartest choice at the moment. But when it comes to competitive and you're fighting for LP, I guarantee you they will be happier at the end if you're able to get away, craft them, or even just survive longer to decrease the penalty of LP lost, or even if you're lucky, somehow gain a little bit. Personally, I am immensely guilty of this. I will have two of my teammates run into a fight and get absolutely destroyed in a building, and instead of making the smart decision and running away to try to conserve the LP or try to stay alive longer, I'll just run into the same building and get blasted from 3 directions by shotguns. So now, not only are they mad that you weren't there to start the fight, they're also mad because now it looks like you have cost them the LP. I don't know, it kind of feels like a shitty take, but when it comes to rank and you're trying to climb the LP ladder, play your life if you have to. I guarantee you whatever they're typing, screaming, or saying at you gets completely negated when they find out that they didn't lose any LP or they might have gained some just because you decided to run from a stupid fight. I don't know if this tip will carry over into another season, mainly because I think in this one, kills and fights didn't count for anything at all, but from what I've been told, they counted for a lot beforehand. But point being, if you're trying to climb the ladder, it's okay to run. And if people say it isn't, send them right here and they can fucking yell at me about it. I do not give a shit. You picked the stupid fight? Bitch, I'm running. Number 7. This one's real quick, but I promise you it will help. Stop putting the 2 times on SMGs and shotguns. And yes, I'm talking to myself because I do it every flipping time. Just use a red dot on the SMGs. Ever since I started just picking up a simple 1x red dot in close quarter fighting, I have killed way more people during fights. In these ranks, there are very few people who are good enough to use SMGs at a long distance. If you can, that's great. I cannot. And I'd be willing to bet that most of the people between bronze and gold also cannot. So just drop the 2 times and put the freaking red dot on it or use the iron sights. That's it, moving on. Next one. Also, yes, the Digi is a 1x sight, but you can't use it on SMGs come season 20, so I omitted it. Bye. Number 6, general movement. Now, I feel like that's really broad and sweeping, but the main point that I just want to cover on that is put your flipping gun away when you're running. I did not believe it made that much of a difference for the longest time until I actually started doing it, and yes, it helps significantly when even running towards or away from a team. Just pull your gun out when they're in sight, preferably a little bit before you see them. Now, it can get a little more intricate when it comes to like tap strafing or boost jumping or things of that nature, or like bouncing off of walls. I'm trying to learn how to do that. It's really more difficult than I thought it was, but for now, just omit that. And if you want to start learning it, there's a couple of really great videos out there that I'll link below that do actually show you pretty comprehensively how to do it and how to consistently do it. It takes a lot of practice, but it is very, very, very helpful. Movement in this game is about 60% of the fight. I'm just recently discovering that, and I really need to dial up the movement quite a bit. Another portion of that is just sliding. If you're going downhill, slide. It is faster. That seems obvious, but the amount of people who just don't do it, including myself, is kind of baffling. And then the other one that's really simple and can really give you a leg up if you're trying to run away is boosting off of zip lines. If there's one directly in front of you, jump, grab it, jump off, and you actually go a little bit further, and it can help a lot because a lot of players don't expect you to do it, and they're going to shoot at the level you're at, but you're actually going to go up a little bit, and now you're going a little bit faster, so it does help in certain situations. I would just keep an eye on that. I'm trying to be more proactive with my movement. It's a very steep learning curve, but we'll get there one day, maybe, kinda, sorta, probably not, but we'll do our best, I promise. Dumb lesson number 5. Your knockdown shield is more of a utility for your teammates than it is for you. Honestly, I'm depressed it took me this long to figure this one out because I never did this, and it didn't really click for me until I started watching some of the more skilled and experienced players and how they use it, but let me explain this. So when you get knocked and have access to that shield, I always kind of wondered why you had it, because it was very easy to chew through very quickly, and you're dead anyway. You are very limited in movement when you're down. You can pretty much crawl at 1 mile an hour. So honestly, when I got downed, I tended to not even use it and just let the other team kill me. I know that's bad. Hold on. Before you crucify me, the light bulb finally went off and I get it now. I get it. With your knockdown shield up, you can actually become cover for your teammates, or you can guard them while they're trying to pick up another down teammate. I mean, let's be real. How many times are you about to get picked up, but someone comes behind your teammate and kills you both? Meanwhile, what you can do with it is get in front of the reviving teammate, throw the shield up, and you may be able to buy some time for them by eating some of the incoming bullets. It may not buy a lot of time, but it does give them an option that you can hold your shield up, and if they need to run, at least they can get away. It keeps you in the game longer and actually gives you a better chance at actually getting revived or crafted, depending on how heroic you want to be with the shield. On top of that, if you go down and your teammate is still shooting, hold the shield up. You become cover for them. They can crouch behind you and be safe behind the shield. This gives them time to reload or maybe get a shield celled off if you have a high enough knockdown shield. shield. The bottom line I'm trying to get to is that shield is more of a utility for your teammates. It's not really for you. If you're alone, it doesn't really do anything. They're just going to chew through it or run around it. But if you can use it to your teammates' advantage and actually either be cover or be the shield that gets another teammate up, that knockdown shield can be invaluable. And look, I'll level with you, 90% of people you're playing with between bronze and gold are probably not going to know how valuable it is if you're holding it up and you can actually be their cover. But at least try to show like, hey, stay behind the shield and reload or do something, buy a couple of seconds. Just try to be that teammate that's defending the teammates even when you're down. I don't know how it took me that long to figure out that, and the fact that I was just letting teams kill me is probably says more about my tilt level than anything else. But yes, don't be that guy. Don't be me. Don't just sit there and let the team shoot you. Try to guard your team if you can. It could literally lead to you winning a match. Number 4, refill your shields before your health. I'll keep this one short and sweet. Number 1 reason, shields are faster. Number 2, if you're shot for health, they can tell how low you are. If you are constantly refilling your shields and the enemy can't see that they're hitting you for flesh, they can't tell how low you are, or if you've healed back to full. Just get your shields back before your health. I didn't do this for a long time, but someone explained it to me, and that makes a lot of sense to me. I was gonna add in the importance of shield swapping, because I finally seem like I've gotten that down now, but it doesn't look like that's gonna be a thing in Season 20, so we're gonna leave that out for now. Dummy the third. Kneel to the end here, bear with me. Use your dang abilities. And I don't just mean every so often, I mean as soon as you physically can. Do not be scared of wasting them. I am 100% guilty of this. I tend to try to save my ultimate or my Qs to while I'm actually in engagements and actually in fights, when in reality they are extremely useful outside of those situations as well. For instance, with Horizon specifically, her Q can get you up on higher places so you can actually see around you and make sure no teams are sneaking up on you. And I know I tend to hold on to her ultimate for some godforsaken reason until like the last 3 or 4 squads, and the amount of times I actually make it to 3 or 4 squads, it doesn't make sense that I always hold on to it. I do see a lot of players just in general do this too. They will not use the ultimate ability pretty much outside of the last fight. I mean, this comes with some caveats like Pathfinder or Octane that it's just a movement ability, but people like Horizon, Bloodhound, Caustic, Bangalore, and Wraith, honestly at my rank, I might see them use it once in a really bad fight, and if we don't win it, I'm not honestly sure if I'll see it again. Not calling anyone out specifically, but that's also a me thing. I might use one Bangalore ult an entire game. I mean, with the amount of ultimate accelerants on the ground, you think I would use it more often or whenever I actually needed to, but no, I'll try to hold it to the last 5 seconds of the game, and by the way, it's not gonna help you if a team is already shoving shotguns up your butt. I feel like this is gonna be even more relevant in Season 20, and it's something I really need to get down and actually start actively using all the time when I can, because the abilities are getting little sub-upgrades with your armor, so if it makes them more powerful, they're worth using more often because they have more value, so really need to focus on that. I already know it's not going to be something I'm going to keep track of, and I'm going to wind up only using ults like once a game again, but that's a me problem as per fucking usual. Number 2. Okay, this one kind of goes along with number 8 as well, but I do think it's important, so here we go. Picking when to fight versus when not to fight. Honestly, with the current state of the season, I know it's my first season, I really shouldn't be making generalizations like this, but it seemed like it was very much a season for if you see 2 teams fighting, that's when you fight. You third squad, and that was pretty much it, especially with how low the values were on kills, assists, and anything else above the top 10 squads. It really wasn't worth picking fights you didn't have to, and I think a lot of even low players started to understand that. As we got close to the end of the season, I started noticing that most jump masters I got that weren't me, and I'm guilty of doing this too, would purposely land very, very, very far out of the way, even at smaller buildings. The name of the game this season was to survive to the top 10, then start fighting, and even once you got to the top 10, where the kills were finally worth something and actually worth going for, most of the teams I was on preferred not to fight at all until like the top 4 or 3 squads. I mean, it makes sense if you don't have to pick the fight, even though the whole game is shooting and taking fights and trying to win. If the risk to reward ratio is really not there like it was in this season, I mean, 1 kill was worth 7 points. Meanwhile, just surviving to the top 5 was about 60 points. It's really not worth it. I fully expect this to change because from what I'm hearing, it's going back to more of the Season 13 model where kills are worth quite a bit. So obviously this is going to change. And it goes without saying, but if you are one of those players that can absolutely just 1v3 and just murk teams 24/7, then by all means, gather all the LP you can. But 9 times out of 10, if you're seeing 3 squads fighting in a field, it's probably not worth your time to try to go in and finish the last squad. 1, they're drawing way too much attention, and 2, you don't know who's on whose team. There was one situation I ran into that we ended up knocking like 6 people people down, but it was 3 different squads, so it kind of got a little clustery there. But yeah, by all means, if you're Timmy or Asu or Fade, absolutely just truck people. That's exactly what you want to do and just absolutely show off and be the gods that you are. But for the rest of us muggles, just pick your fights smart. A lot of your teammates are not going to pick fights smartly, so that's when it goes into number 8 and you just run the hell away. All right, number 1, and the stupidest lesson I had to learn this season and still suck at it: positioning, positioning, positioning. If I had to account 99% of my deaths throughout this entire season to one thing, it's this. And truth be told, I still catch myself running into fights where I am completely exposed from multiple different angles and then am somehow wondering why I got shot in the back. The time to kill in Apex is so low, even at the end of the game with red shields and full health. I mean, for God's sakes, with proper aim, you're still gonna get one clipped. So positioning yourself properly is one of the biggest learning curves I personally have had to face. Basically because my main instinct is to run at the enemy and just try to fight them, but I completely leave myself open to my left, right, back, northeast, southeast, above, below, and whatever other direction you can think to shoot me from. And yeah, to be fair, most of the areas in Apex are not set up that you're always gonna have cover on every single side. But in particular, the most important thing I'm trying to force myself to remember is minimize how many angles I can get shot at when I take a fight. So as long as I have something to my left or behind me, at least that eliminates one angle and I can try to work around it and I have options. Running out into an open field while 3 other teams are fighting is a surefire way to make sure you are not getting picked up. On top of that, I guess high ground technically fits in this quite a bit. I would say 8 out of 10 times if you have the high ground, you're in an advantage situation. There are caveats to that, but I've only found a few places where it's way too wide open and there's way too many other directions you can get shot at, but that more depends on circle, and I don't have the time to go into that, or honestly the intelligence to go into that, because I think I got a great position on a tower, but there's grenades and bullets flying at me from every direction, and now I'm dead. So I mean, what are we gonna do? Wrong guy to be talking about that. But yeah, it's a very steep learning curve, but if you can learn to position yourself properly and eliminate as many angles at once during any situation, any fight that you're in, you will go so much further in the first few ranks, because this is something that a lot of players around my skill level do not consider whatsoever. So the things the lower level players don't do, you need to do, and you will go so much further. I'm hoping I can get myself to believe that statement, because I really want to get higher than gold this season, but I don't know if it's possible for me. So yeah, that's about it for me. On to season 20, and we're back in rookie 4. I'm gonna cry. But on the bright side, the only place we can go from here is up. We literally can't go any further down, so that's a positive. But yeah, honestly don't know what this video was supposed to be, but I jumped into my first competitive game on season 20 to be greeted by a champion squad with a triple pred badge. So I might have spooked and decided, you know what, maybe we don't play the first few days and spare myself that absolute demolishment of pride. But yeah, this is what I came up with. Always wanted to try to make a top 10 video, and can fill it with all my stupid mistakes, so that works. But other than that, see ya. I can feel you judging me through the screen. Shut up.